Hello and welcome to MotilityPay webinar. My name is Chris Hoffreiter, and today we're going to be talking about the latest and greatest for Motility. That would be MotilityPay. It's an amazing time-saving feature of the software that I'm really excited to show you guys. Also on the line on this webinar, we have Josh Calipa. He's our MotilityPay specialist. He manages the program for us. Robert Diaz is the account manager who can definitely tell you about any promotions that are going on. And myself, Chris Hoffreiter, I'm a professional services training specialist. I've been with the company for a number of years, and I help with training new clients. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and throw it over to Josh. He's going to talk you through a couple of the features and benefits of the program. Then he'll throw it back to me. I'll do a quick demonstration of the software, how it's used, and how it integrates with the usual Motility accounting platform. And then Josh will talk about the remittance reports that you get, and then we'll close it out with a couple words from Robert. And just so you know, we are going to be doing a Q&A at the very end. We'll be answering any questions that you guys have. So in the webinar, there is a Q&A section that you can click on now just to get it ready to type in any questions that you have as we go through. All right, so Josh, I'll go ahead and throw it over to you now.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time today to be with us. Very excited to introduce MotilityPay and discuss how this can impact your dealership. Once again, I am the MotilityPay specialist here. So I would be your direct point of contact for anything related to MotilityPay, from setup all the way to support. I'll be your man on the ground for you. Now, one thing I do want to point out before we begin today is that MotilityPay is a no-fee service that is available to anybody that is currently an Infinity subscriber. So you will never pay anything to utilize MotilityPay. Now, what is MotilityPay? It is an automated bill pay solution that is fully integrated into the accounting module. So there's a good chance you've already seen the button there. It probably just hasn't been enabled for you. The goal of MotilityPay is very simple. We want to save you time, save you money, and actually put some cash back in your pocket. Now we can do that. We can save you time and money because we can print and mail your checks for you. So all of that manual process that you're doing right now of having to print out those checks, separate them, put them in the envelopes, we can handle all that for you. With MotilityPay, we can also deliver your ACH payments. We can also pay your vendors, so what's called a virtual V card. We'll get into what that exactly is in a moment, but it's a really neat new technology where you can earn some cash back in the dealership. And finally, MotilityPay works great with Positive Pay. Positive Pay is a feature that banks offer. It's a free service. It's just an added layer of security in your check writing process where it's like a pre-verification. So again, MotilityPay aligns really good with that. So what I like to do is review a diagram of what your typical or one of our dealers' AP process looks like. What we'll do is we'll run through this without MotilityPay, what it looks like, and then we'll add it into the mix and see how it really streamlines that AP process. So if we look at it here, an order would be made, and you would receive that order with an invoice. So this could be a part, it could be whatever, it could be a phone bill that you get as well. The next step would be that you enter that into Infinity. Now this next step is where the bottleneck typically occurs when you're not utilizing MotilityPay. So this would be weekly or monthly whenever you have your payables run. Your AP person would have to gather up all of those invoices, take them into the approver's office, go through them one by one, decide which one they want to pay. They would then have to go back to their office, print out each check, separate them, only to take them back in the approver's office to be signed, and once again back to the AP's office to stuff those into the envelopes and take them down to the post office. As you can see, an extremely cumbersome process. This can take hours on a weekly or monthly basis. So this is where MotilityPay really shines. Now, with this process, these first three steps are going to remain the same. You're still going to receive your good along with an invoice, and you're going to enter those into Infinity. It's at this step right here where MotilityPay really takes over. So all you would have to do is process your payments through MotilityPay, which Chris is going to show you in a moment how easy that is to do, and then you're done. At this point, MotilityPay is able to pick up all of those payables, process those, and administer those payments. So we're able to mail out those checks for you, and then we're able to send a virtual card to any of your suppliers that accept credit cards. And that's really where you want the most value to come in through those V cards, is that the more and more of your suppliers that accept credit cards, the larger your rebate is going to be. So it's a good point to look at what a virtual card is. Now, it's very similar to a traditional credit card, just like the ones that we use in our daily lives, with a couple of different variations. First of all, it's not a physical card. It's just the electronic details of that card that we process and send over to your supplier. Second of all, you're not opening up a line of credit like you traditionally would. Basically, it's a one-time payment, only good for that amount of the invoice and only good for one swipe for the supplier. So I'll give you an example. It kind of illustrates a little easier what the process for a V card is and how it works. So let's say you run a payables run through MotilityPay, and you have a supplier that currently accepts credit card. You have an open invoice for $2,000. Once that payment is processed through MotilityPay, we would send that supplier a 16-digit randomized MasterCard number that is preloaded for only $2,000. So once they receive those details, they can process that payment, but it has to be for $2,000. They can only process it once. So this is great for you. You don't have the liability of overpaying or underpaying, and they can only process it once. If you look at it from the vendor's perspective, they're getting their payment faster. They're optimizing their cash flow. They don't have the liability of having your card number on file. And again, from your perspective, you're saving time, and you're actually saving money on this. You're not having to have the hard costs associated with the check. And finally, you're turning your AP process into a revenue generator. You're able to earn money back simply by paying your suppliers, something that you have to do and something that you're doing right now. So what I'd like to do is go over a slide here that has a great snapshot and example of what a typical dealership could earn back in a year from utilizing MotilityPay. So in this example here, we're going to assume that this dealership processes roughly 9 million payments through year, cutting 1,500 checks. So right off the bat, we're going to be able to reduce that check count down to 750. We cut it right in half, because half of these payments now to these suppliers are going to be paid through a virtual credit card. So if we look at this example here, if we look at 750 checks cut in a year at $1.52 per check, the total check cost for this dealership is $1,140 for that year. However, this dealership is going to generate $4,500 simply by paying their suppliers that accept credit cards. So at the end of the year, you're going to have a net rebate of $3,360. With MotilityPay, you're able to absorb this check cost out of your gross rebate to give you this final net rebate. And to take it a step further, let's calculate back in your check cost savings and also your time. If you're looking at manpower and hours, that's roughly around another $2,400 back in your pocket. So at the end of the year, you're close to $6,000 back on your bill just for utilizing MotilityPay, streamlining your AP process. So again, as you can see, MotilityPay, it really does save you time and allows you to earn a lot of money back. So I think this is a good opportunity here to stop, and we can actually jump down into the environment and see how easy it is to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Chris here, and I'm going to move over to the demo environment. So you may see a slight change in your screen there, and I'll go ahead and pass it to Chris. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Josh. So I'm going to just walk through a quick demonstration of the MotilityPay process. So just like you saw in the previous slide, you know, the first part of your usual software process is completely unchanged. So what that means is your orders have been made, your goods have been received, and your invoices have all been entered in. So what we're going to do is pick it up right from the check writing process. I'm going to click 00 write checks and drafts. And we're going to jump into a bank. Again, the same process. You pick which bank that you're going to be paying and hit OK. Now, you don't have to use the approvals process. Like, for example, if you're the GM and you're the one who's writing the checks, you might not need the approval, but we've revamped the approvals to be compatible with MotilityPay. And this gives you a lot more control since you won't physically be signing the checks. It's important to use some kind of a digital approval system. So I'm going to talk about that as well. To get started with MotilityPay, again, we're not going to be hitting the add button. We're not going to be adding any checks physically here. All we're going to do is click the auto check writing button at the bottom right-hand corner. The auto check writing has been around for a while in the software. Auto check writing would allow you to print a batch of checks, but it's been changed. And if you have MotilityPay, auto check writing is how we actually send the batch out to MotilityPay to get those checks written for you automatically, or to get those V-card transactions processed. So to get started, there are filters in the lower left-hand corner. You can just leave these blank. You don't have to fill them out. The purpose of these filters would be to filter out your accounts payable transactions. So for example, I may want to pick a due date. If I only want to see transactions that are due today, I can select that due date here and make it a little bit easier. Or you can leave them blank, that's fine. Just click proceed to check writing. And a little window popped up really quickly there. I'm not sure if you saw it. Basically what it's doing is it's creating these blank check numbers on the left-hand side using all your outstanding accounts payable transactions. So what you would then do is click on each of these, and any of your outstanding payables that are due will show up in the middle section just like they always have. What you're going to do is click the pay button for any invoices that you intend to pay with MotilityPay. And then you can hit the save button at the bottom. And basically what we're doing is we're saving these checks, getting them ready to send out to MotilityPay. I'm going to do the same thing for this top check here, or Jerry's truck. We'll go ahead and we'll do two of them here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit pay on this $100 bill as well. So as you can see, I'm just running through, hitting save, creating the checks that I want to create, the payments I want to create. So then we have a request approval button as a part of these process, this auto check writing process. So when I click request approval, it's going to send an email to the people at the dealership who are authorized to approve checks. So this could be GMs or managers who have authorization to make payments. Basically, you can send an email. What those people are doing is they're going to go to 07 check approval. They're going to open up this list, and basically it's going to give them a list of all the checks that are waiting for approval. So I can already see here's my $100 from today, so I'm going to hit approve on that. Here's my Walmart check that I have a couple of payments in there. I can hit the plus sign here to get the detail of the remittance of what's actually being paid. And I can, of course, hit approve on that as well. So this check approval system is pretty quick and painless. Once you've approved them, we'll just close out of that. And now in MotilityPay, you can go ahead and click this MotilityPay button. And this is the final step. So once I click the MotilityPay button, it's going to create a file that then gets sent out to MotilityPay. And that's it. I mean, that's as simple as it is. No need to physically print checks. No need to call the vendor and process a virtual card payment. You're pretty much done at this point. So I'm going to close out of the check writer, and we'll throw the meeting back to Josh. Josh is going to tell you about the remittance report and the communication you get from MotilityPay.
Great. Well, thank you, Chris. So as you can see, it's extremely easy there. Just a few short clicks and you're done. One thing I do want to note, again, with MotilityPay is that it's fully integrated into the accounting module. So everything that you do in there is going to be captured and recorded just as you do right now. So from your perspective, it's not going to look any different than the way you cut checks right now for the system. As Chris mentioned, every time that you pass a file through MotilityPay, you're going to receive back a detailed remittance report, just like the one that's on your screen right now. It's going to contain all of the information from that payable run. It's a great tool for you to use for reconciliation and for reporting needs. So as you can see here, it's going to have your payee name, it's going to have your payment dates, your amounts, also your check numbers right here. And what's really nice is it has this payment method field here. So this is going to let you know how your vendors are being paid, if they're being paid with a check or with a virtual card. So it's a great line of sight for you to see which ones of your vendors are accepting V-cards and which ones are still taking payments via check. Again, you get this every time you submit a file, which means, once again, this is an automated service here. You don't have to notify us whenever you send a file to MotilityPay. Our system is able to detect anytime you process a file. We pick it up, process it, administer those payments, and send this back to you each time. So that's about it for the functionality of MotilityPay, the highlights, the features and benefits, and then how you actually utilize this enhancement in the software. What I'd like to do now is pass it over to Robert, talk about how the setup works and a nice promotion that we have going on right now.
All right, thank you, Josh. Yeah, so it's honestly, what it looks like is pretty simple. It's a no-brainer. It doesn't cost you, the customer, anything to operate under MotilityPay. It's super simple to set up. It takes only about 3 weeks once we receive a signed agreement, and we manage everything from soup to nuts. So we only ask of about 1 to 2 hours just to specify how you would like some of your vendors to be designated in your system, as well as managing and getting approvals for your check proofs. And in that 1 to 2 hours, we also have our specialist, Josh, work with you and get you completely confident in utilizing MotilityPay before you actually go live. You know, you've seen how Chris showed the process is not much different from what you currently do today. And you just are able to submit for approved invoices within just a few clicks. One promotion that we have going on right now, as far as whoever adopts MotilityPay will receive 4 hours of free accounting training. Depending on how you're currently operating in your accounting department today, you might find some things in this accounting training that you might not have been aware of. Any kind of enhancements that might have been pushed out since your initial go live training. This is something that's super beneficial in starting MotilityPay, just to fine tune and streamline those processes. One customer that we have, Bell Camper Sales, the owner and president, Lane Bell, he actually gave us a comment on MotilityPay that they've been using for the past few months. And what he wants to say is MotilityPay has taken the administrative burden of the accounts payable process out of my dealership. We are no longer responsible for printing and mailing checks, which saves me time and money. This is a must-have. And I couldn't agree more with what Lane said. This is almost a no-brainer. You can continue to operate and do your one-time checks on site for those cases necessary, but this is basically built towards those recurring payments that you have towards your vendors. And this is where you really get a lot of incentivizing money back, possibly into a non-revenue generating department. It's honestly a great thing to look at going forward. If you have any more questions after our questions and answering session, my email is rdiaz@motilitysoftware.com, and Josh Kalpa and Chris can also answer any of those questions for you if you want to notate any of their numbers or their emails. Going forward, we have our question and answer session. I know that we do have about 3 attendees here. So if you can use that question answering link at the bottom of the Zoom window, Chris will be able to answer any kind of technical questions you might have for the rest of the webinar. Thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. And yeah, I meant to like just mention a reminder at the end of my quick demo to put any questions into the Q&A. We don't have any Q&A questions waiting to be answered right now. So I don't mind pausing for a little bit, give you a little bit of time. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and type them in on the Q&A. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. We'll probably give maybe about 1 more minute here for people to type in questions, and then we'll be drawing the webinar to a close. All right, so I still don't have any open questions. I suppose that means we did a good job. We must have explained what we needed to explain pretty efficiently. So again, thank you for your patience and participation in this webinar. I really do hope you'll consider MotilityPay. It's nothing new about this technology. Virtual cards have been around for years. We're just making it incredibly easy to get started. So yeah, feel free to reach out to Robert and of course, let him know if you do have any questions, and also to schedule that beginning process. We need about 3 weeks to get it set up. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Josh, did you have anything else to say?
Nope, I think we're all set. Again, just, we hope to be able to speak with each and every one of you and get you going. And if you'd like a more personalized one-on-one demo where we can kind of do an analysis on your dealership, we'd be happy to do that and see how MotilityPay can add some value. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
All right. All right, guys, thanks for your patience on the webinar today. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll look forward to speaking to you soon.